Entering the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2022 NFL Championship Round Picks. Against the spread, maybe a free money teaser or money line parlay. Who knows what Cust has got cooked up this week. Plus a Cust Corner mini. Remember to vote in the Custies. Link is down in the description. Remember to smash the like button to the episode. Sub to Mayo Media Network. Leave something in the comment section to help the algorithm. Help us time code the episode for the best of that is to come once the season ends up coming to its conclusion. And rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts. Leave a rating on Spotify as well. Even if you don't normally listen to the show on Spotify, but you have Spotify, then make it easy on yourself and make it easy on me. Take you 5 seconds, hit the 5-star, boom, we're good to go. Thank you very much for that. We only have so many episodes of this particular show left for the NFL season. We have 2 for sure, this being one of them. And Geoff Fienberg, should we do something next week during Pro Bowl week? Like talk about football, I guess? Awards, maybe?
Yeah, we could do that. I'm very much down. I always like talking football. There's always minutia for me to rant on. If we want to do it, I'm very much game.
All right, well, let's bring him in to see what he says, the third member of the show. It is the coin. Let's see, heads for show, tails for no show. No, heads for show. Okay, so I guess like we're doing one next week with Tim Undercust.
Tim Undercust.
That is not my name, but sure, I'm happy to continue to do shows. Any opportunity you give me to continue our campaign, I will take the airwaves to take that opportunity.
I will say that Tuesday, January 25th was the high point of the Vote for Geoff campaign. This was it. You hit its peak, and it's all downhill from here, sir.
Or we're beginning to hit our stride.
Yeah, but the thing is, people can only vote once unless they're your bot farm trying to vote 3,000 times.
There's still lots of people out there who haven't cast ballots.
I don't know. There's almost as many votes in the Custies this year as there was last year. So I think we may have reached the saturation limit. Your Thursday surprise came in a bit too late.
Or I am finding voters you didn't know about that are coming out who couldn't be bothered to vote in the last couple of elections because they didn't see a spirited campaign, but now are encouraged. Because you have to understand, I only need to win this once, folks. I won't badger you ever again. If you give me this year, I won't badger you again. Lend me your vote this year. I promise you, you will not regret it.
I am now of the headspace that Tim is going to be very upset if he does not win this election.
Oh, 100%.
With the effort that he's put into it.
No. Listen, I'm so proud of the campaign we've run and the work that we've done that if the vote doesn't go my way, I have respect for the people. Unlike you, who can't be bothered to campaign for their votes, think you're better than them, won't ask for their vote. I'm asking for their vote, but if they choose to vote the other way, I respect their decision, even though I disagree with it.
I just have confidence in the viewer that they've, watched enough that they answer all these questions about you before they're faced with this ultimate question of who's most insane. So I just want them to be fair and balanced in that approach.
You're going to be very upset when you lose. You know you are.
Paul, let's see the meme from today. Throw that up there. It's so good. So good.
And if you like memes, reward our campaign with the vote for Geoff. If we're doing better on the memes, just vote for Geoff. You don't even need to think that I or Geoff are crazy. I don't care. Vote for Geoff just on that. That's fine too. Vote however your heart desires.
I voted for you because I don't think I could handle you winning once in like 11 years and be like, see, I'm not. And your spin on it would be, see, I'm not insane, because you've already talked about getting rid of the most insane label from your phone board.
Yeah.
But it doesn't
say,
but it doesn't say most insane person. It just says insane person. So by your logic, if Geoff has voted more insane than you, that means you're not insane, which I think that if we just ran a poll, is Tim insane? Yes or no? It'd be like 99 to 1%.
No, if I win this vote, the board has to come down.
It doesn't need to come down, as you have no control.
It will be a vindication for me. And I said, just give it to me one time, folks. Let me have this so I can wield it whenever I need to against attacks from all sides. As the
so you're begging now. I think
you're right. I'm campaigning, Geoff. Here we
And
go.
you say you want new voters. When you say new voters, you think there are lots of them out there. Are you referring to the Indians who haven't signed in for their shift yet at the bot farm?
I'm talking about people who love this show, who watch it religious. I mean, this show just on YouTube averages what, 9,000-10,000 viewers. And so if we only have 6,000 or 7,000 votes, that means there's a lot of votes still out there to get. I don't disrespect those people the way you do.
I'm not disrespecting them. I would consider that the silent majority is just clicking away for I mean,
maybe
I consider the fact that when people vote for me, I'm pretty confident they've let me know that they are with you and that they are voting, I guess, with me or against me, however you would clarify the vote for Geoff. They let me know that they're voting. They let me know, they want to know that they want to play this game and they're on Team Tim. But I think there are just copious amounts of listeners who don't need to inform me or you who they voted for. They just vote. And I believe those votes are going my way.
We'll see. You're starting to sound like John Lovitz in that skit from Saturday Night Live where he's Dukakis and keeps pointing at the guy playing Bush, saying, how am I losing to this guy? That's what you sound like. How am I losing to this guy? Well,
very topical reference, Tim. Talking about skits that came out the year you were born.
I don't know that I have been losing to you guys.
Did they come out after you were born, or did they come out what the year?
Yeah, well, Dukakis, that election was 1988. So.
But wouldn't the skits have been running a year before? Was it? I guess presidential campaigns weren't like 18 months out back then, were they?
No, they really didn't get into the teeth of it by then. But anyway, the vote totals. You can tell the people that it's close, that it's a real fight.
Yeah, but what if I'm just lying to you about the vote totals?
Well, then you're lying to me. Then I guess the truth will out, then won't it? I mean, but
I would assume if this was, like one of those game flow projections, you probably started out like a bat out of hell. You people, you were vigorous to vote for you at the start, but I think the more sane, grounded, well thought viewer has taken their time and, maybe they considered voting for me. But
there it is, folks. If you don't vote for Geoff's way, you're not a sane voter. That's the thought he has about you. You don't have the right to independent thought.
Now you're starting to now Tim's entire campaign for him to be not most insane is some sort of mixture of Trump and pure anti-vax. That's the rhetoric that you are spewing.
No, it is not.
It's the same arguments.
Geoff is taking a contemptuous view of the voter, and I'm out asking for their vote and putting out banger after banger meme to entertain the people.
Well, I mean, you're going to win most entertaining memes. I don't think anyone can take that away from you.
No, we have sort of mastered the meme.
Now, when you say we, you mean the person coming up with the ideas and making the memes and sending them to you.
The campaign.
Okay.
I think I know who it is, but
you have no idea. You have no idea because I'll never say.
I know who it is.
Yeah,
we all know who it is, Tim.
No, it's just a campaign.
No, I'm not. I haven't been told I have no direct information other than, it just hit me. Of course it's that person doing all of this.
No, you're just upset that our campaign has worked hard to put together.
You worked. Listen, win, lose, or draw, you should be sending your campaign some Subway gift cards for the work, for the effort, for their memeing. I just I don't think people appreciate the tweak job you will do when you don't win with the effort you put in.
I will face defeat with graciousness and with dignity, which I'm not so sure you will do. If you're, I can hear the shaking of a fist and you people just voted for me because you thought it would be funny, and look what you've got.
Well, that's it. If anyone votes for Geoff, that's why. I mean, it would be even funnier if everyone just voted for Paul or something like that, I think. Anyway, we spent too much time on this.
Oh, if you're gonna vote for Paul, a vote for Paul is a vote for me. Don't vote for Paul. Vote for Geoff.
Well, people can't independently express their thoughts. They want to vote for Paul. Is that what you're saying?
Go ahead. Throw your vote away.
Listen, people are saying maybe Pat Mayo is the most insane person because I willingly talk to you morons every single week. I've heard that
Look, maybe
argument.
next year's campaign will be to get you into second place and get me into third place.
Jesus Christ. All right, let's talk about the weekend, Tim. We made a wager. You ended up winning. Congratulations. What an end to the Bills and Chiefs game.
Yeah, I don't feel very good about it. Other than
You won.
the reason I won, which is great, but I mean, it made me feel bad as a fan of AFC football because I now know, if I didn't know before, like people always talk about if so-and-so plays their best game and so-and-so plays their best game, this will win. Here's the thing, folks. If the Chiefs play their best game for a quarter, you can't win. You cannot win. Allen played the best that he can possibly play. It wasn't good enough. There's no other AFC quarterback, if they play their best, who can beat Mahomes when he plays well. That's just the facts on the ground, that if the Chiefs play their best, and we saw that in the fourth quarter, absolutely nobody can beat them, cannot approximate them. And that's a tough pill to swallow as a fan of an AFC team, to know that the only chance you have of winning against the Chiefs is hoping they have a bad day. Because your best is no longer good enough to guarantee a win. That was a little bit distressing. But the Chiefs did play their best, and in the end, they're just better. And they won. Tough game, though. Fun game, but tough game.
Yeah, you went 3-1. You won the week. The rest of us, me, Geoff, and the coin all went 1-3 a week ago. Cincinnati was the only team that came through for me. They also broke up your free money teaser, so you dropped to 6-17.
I know.
And also the under didn't end up coming through in Bills and Chiefs. It was looking good for a while. Then it
was looking good. I mean,
then it did not look good.
Didn't we cover with the Bucks though?
No, the Bucks were favored.
The Bucks lost, man.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's agitating because the Titans played that game the way I was hoping they'd play it, and they should have won it. They just did. They went for 2 for absolutely no reason, and then they ran an absolutely mindless 4th down call, and they had 2 tipped interceptions. Like, if I could replay that game again, I would pick the Titans 100 times out of 100 because they should have won that game.
I mean, how do you know that bad coaching decisions and things like that don't persist into the next game? That's like
maybe they do.
That's like 2 years in a row we've seen Vrabel do this in the playoffs now.
I know. Well, it was a different type of bad decisioning this time. But
so that just leaves the door open for ones you haven't even thought about yet.
No, that's fair enough. But just the Bengals have been unimpressive, in my opinion, 2 straight weeks compared to what they can be. And I feel like they should have lost both games, but here we are. And I tip my hat to them.
Yeah, I have to agree with Tim. I don't think the Bengals were the better team in 4 quarters of totality in either of their playoff game, yet they won both. And that in and of itself is absolutely no easy task, and credit to them. And I love seeing new blood in a big game, in a big spot. So credit to them. Tennessee, I also agree with Tim that, listen, when the 49ers looked absolutely dead late on Saturday night, I was sitting there thinking, I really think I capped both of these games right today, but I'm going to be going 0-2. 3 interceptions from Tannehill, all of them, every interception, every turnover in and of itself is crushing in a playoff game. But his 3 interceptions, they couldn't have been any worse. The first play of the freaking game in the red zone as they're getting the momentum back. And then at the end of regulation at midfield, when they got this superstar kicker now, I mean, absolutely mind-boggling loss for the Titans.
I just got in full disclosure, I just got a text from Cam asking me, he's like, why does everyone keep saying that golf starts on Wednesday this week? It starts on Thursday. It's like, no, man, it starts on Wednesday.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
So you wonder why there's like 800 warnings, and
I've tried to say it as much as possible to people. It starts at noon Eastern on Wednesday this week.
I said it very briefly. I just felt that I would be redundant with the rest of the world, but I guess there are people that didn't get the message.
Yeah, they don't want to go head-to-head with NFL Sunday this week for golf, which is a pretty shrewd decision after seeing what the ratings were for the divisional round. I think it was the highest-rated divisional round ever.
How about that? People aren't cutting their cables after all, I guess. People are still watching television and watching big sporting events. interesting how that works.
I don't understand how that correlates.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that ratings are growing over the last couple of years is indicative that no, people aren't throwing away their televisions and their cable.
Well, that
They
actually
No,
has,
but they
that
actually
has
are throwing
they actually
away
are
their
doing that.
cable.
That's why when you see the rating share, the share is so much higher now because there are fewer TVs to draw from. Then you look at the streaming numbers, it's like, oh my god, there's a lot of people watching this now.
No, it's just indicative that the whole cut.
No,
the
it's not.
cord
No,
thing
it's actually not.
was
You
a fad.
completely
People
just
are coming back
you
to
have
it.
completely misunderstood what the ratings are telling you. But
And
that's
then
fine.
people are coming
No,
back to
not,
cable.
Listen,
not shocking.
I don't
that you
doubt-
misunderstand.
I don't doubt that maybe some cord cutters have found themselves paying almost as much money by the time they add up their
Are you
service.
kidding me? Cord cutting is the most foolish thing a person can do.
Well, yes
If
and
it's
no.
about
It
saving money.
depends.
You're not
it
saving
depends.
a dime
Well,
if you cut the cord.
Hey, you
Not
have
a
no.
dime.
Okay, so please tell me, how much do you think it would cost to cut your cable right now and take on the streaming services?
If you want to have actual streaming services, HBO Max, Disney Plus, Netflix, Paramount Plus, the Peacock, all of these things. Plus, there's Hulu. There's probably all kinds of other ones I'm not even thinking of. You're paying just as much
Are you?
as you.
So
Of course
okay.
you are.
Here are two questions I want you to answer for me right now. How much is your cable per month?
Cable per month, I think, runs about $100.
Are you sure about
Maybe-
that?
Maybe about 120.
Are you sure about that?
Not 100%. I don't look at the bill. I just pay.
Okay.
Oh,
Tim, too rich for one thing. And
Well,
how-
just that there are things that I need to have in my life, and my television and my cable are things I need to have in my life.
most people don't
So, like-
have every streaming service there is. They kind of pick and choose the ones that they actually want.
most people
to use.
look at their bills.
Yeah, most people do look at their bill. Well, but most people listen, some people have to look at their bills because they say, hey, am I paying too much for this? Can I afford this going forward? When you're Tim Too Rich and you're basically just the guy from Blank Check and you're just like, yeah, here you
No,
go,
no,
kid.
no,
Let's chuck it out.
There are just like my phone and my cable and my internet I've got to have. So like that's not where I'm looking to scrimp and save every dime. Like I need to have those things.
Well, you think that
I
would
need
be
to
a
have-
place where you would go to scrimp and save because you've talked about on this show looking at the flyers at grocery stores, which don't even give you discounts. They're just telling you
They
what
do.
they have too much
They actually
stock
do.
of, and then they try to trick you into buying it, which works on you. Yet
No,
something
I
that you
bought
pay.
chicken
Shut
breasts
up!
today that were on
Shut
sale
up!
'cause they were on
It's
sale in
something
the
that you
flyer.
buy every single month with an auto payment, nonetheless. That you don't care about that. You wouldn't want to save there, but you want to save 30 cents on a $17 chicken breast.
Well, I saved like $2.50 per kilogram, I think, today on chicken breasts. It was a good deal. You're right. The auto pay just takes the bills out, and that's great. And there are certain things I know that it would be just as expensive to pay for all these crazy.
Do you know that though?
Because I actually like some of these
or
things.
do you say I feel like that's the case, but I don't have any facts to back
You're
that
not
up?
saving. You are not saving enough for the hassle that you're putting yourself through when it comes to jumping between streaming sites and the lag time and trying to remember passwords.
What are you talking about? It takes me
Cable is
it takes me
instantaneous.
a faster amount of time to load up the apps on my TV than it does switching over to cables and changing the channel now.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, yes,
Cable-
it does.
the-
Let me ask you.
the great
Let me
advantage
ask
of
you before you go on with your fucking
Don't know
rant.
what you're talking
Shut
about.
up. Have you ever actually done this?
Of course I
No, you haven't. How often do you use the apps on your TV?
Oh, I don't use them on my TV. I use them on my computer.
Why are you using it on your computer? So you watch a lot of TV
Because
on
that's
your
what I know.
computer?
I watch the Netflix on my computer. Yes.
Why don't you watch it on your TV and you'll have no lag
Because
time?
my TV is for TV. It's not for streaming. I understand some people like to do that, but I don't. I like to have my TV for my TV and my streaming for my streaming. And that's what I know and that's what I like. I'm not judging anybody else for wanting to have a million like things on their television. Go for it. Like live life and vote Geoff. I just don't want to have that. I like to watch TV on my TV.
It's
Sorry,
on
that's what I
your TV already. It's a button on your fucking remote.
But hopping between television shows and the time it takes to load a television show, cable's great advantage is its instantaneousness. And that's something the internet can't quite match. That is that instantaneousness.
Only for sports would I agree with you. Anything else, you don't need it.
So you like binge or watch Netflix shows not on your big screen TV? You load it up on your computer and sit there with it on your lap?
Absolutely, I do. Right on my laptop. Yes, I do.
But you have the Netflix app on your TV, which would make it the easiest thing in the world, and you could watch it.
That's what my remote says, but I've never used it. I don't know how to use it. I know how to use my computer.
Have you tried to press the Netflix button?
I've
Maybe
tried my
that would
television.
work?
I go to the cable channel.
And you got scared?
I go to the cable
You
channel.
don't go to the fucking cable channel. Use the Netflix app that's built into your goddamn TV.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to use that.
Did you press the Netflix button?
I have pressed it by accident in the past.
And what does it do? What does it do? What does it do for when you press it? When you press it, what do you do?
He hits exit immediately.
Immediately panic and push exit because I don't want to do that. I want to watch my Netflix on my computer because that's what I know. I don't like. How am I going to type on my television the same way I can type on my I know you can type on your phone on the television, but with like the electronic point and click. Why are you laughing at me, Geoff? You know it's faster to type on your laptop than it is to type on the computer. Am I wrong about that?
Put in your password one time.
But
when you want to search for stuff, you got to go, oh, B is over here, and then A is over here, and or whatever. Come on, people. I'm trying to.
Okay, so I could give you a tip. If you're really that anal retentive, which you are, then technically search for it on your iPad, load it up, and then it's in your recently watching, and it'll be at the top when you bring up it on your TV.
That is a good idea. I don't know whether the app and the computer talk to each other like that. Maybe they do.
Yes,
you don't think your same Netflix account is fucking synced together, Tim?
I don't know. Maybe they are. It hadn't occurred to me. Okay. I don't judge you for the way you want to consume.
No, but I'm judging the people that voted for me right now.
Once again, Geoff has no time for people who don't think the way he thinks on this question.
You mean Geoff has no time for people that think insane like you do, instead of being a normal, balanced, sane person who would just do these things.
I've been watching Netflix on my computer since the day I got it, in 2014 or whatever. And it's what I know, and it's what I'm comfortable with, and it's what I'm going to keep. It's what I'm going to keep doing.
And you have a big screen TV at home that you watch.
Yeah, I have one of those smart TVs, the whatever it's called, but I don't use it for that. I use it for my PS4, and I use it for my cable, and that's what I use.
Your recently purchased PS4.
So you make sure you're watching Tucker Carlson in HD, but the show that you're watching 15 episodes of, you're on an 11-inch laptop,
which is in HD too. I mean, I don't know what laptop you're rocking these days, but the resolution on my laptop is pretty good.
What, your 2015 MacBook Air?
Yeah, it's got really good picture, really sharp.
Better than your TV, your new TV.
I didn't say that. I said it's got really good picture, and I'm happy with it. You of all people. Who never has any trouble watching stuff in standard definition. You're criticizing me?
I'll watch stuff on my phone if that's available to me, and that's the only way I can watch it. But if I'm sitting in front of my TV, which you would be in this situation, then I would just watch it on my TV. It's easy enough.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll be in my easy chair and I'll just lean back and have my laptop on my lap and
you might have had.
Okay, is your easy chair not facing your TV?
It does, but I can just look straight at my. I'm used to it. Okay, I'm just used to it, and I think you should try it out, and I think you'll like it too.
So what you think is I should sit on my couch in front of my TV, load up my laptop, put it on my lap, make myself sterile with all the radiation going into my goddamn nuts.
Please. Plus, you can have something on in the television on the background, as I often do.
Why would I
on mute? I'll have a random basketball or baseball or hockey game on mute in the background, or Sports Center or the news or whatever, right? Whatever it is. The background chatter of the television on top of what I've got for watching. It's I can multitask. Maybe not everybody can.
Well, you sound like you sound like Mr. Millennial here, by the way. No attention span, Tim. I can't watch it. I can't sit down and watch something for 40 minutes. A show I'm actually invested in. I need to have something else going on so I can peek at that too. Maybe I can be on my phone at the same time too.
I usually am on my phone at the same time, but it's not that I have no attention span. It's just that I'm incredibly good at multitasking. It's a gift that I possess.
Here's the thing.
I feel bad for your campaign managers, all that work that they have put in, and you just come here You might have had a chance this month, if not for your goddamn wearing a grocery store, a medal to the grocery store that you won 7 years ago for participating, or this, or being afraid of system updates.
By the way, I did the new update on my phone, and the new iOS is terrible. By the way,
what is
Just terrible.
Can you please tell me what's different?
well, for starters, the website URL typing bar is at the bottom of the internet, which I don't like.
Well, I mean, that's your fault for using Safari to begin with, and that's one click.
Well,
and
that's
you
what
can,
I-
and that's
what I
one
know.
click, and you can move it back to the top.
I don't know how to do that, but just like I don't know, just doesn't seem to be as effective.
So that's it. Your biggest difference. The only thing that's different is that the search bar on Safari is at the bottom, not the
No,
top.
like,
And now
with
what
your-
else? Please no.
and then
Please
with your-
continue. Please tell
with
me the
your-
differences, Tim.
With your messages, it's like always trying to pin messages now. It never did that before.
It's not trying to pin messages. It has the ability to pin messages if you want to.
And now, like, if like when I put my earphones in, if I'm like out and like I get a text message, it now like tells me, "Oh, you got a text from Pat Mayo," and it says this. Like that never happened before. Now it's like giving me voice text, like reading the text message to me as I'm walking around.
Yeah,
which never-
here's the thing, Tim. We've all done our iOS updates on our iPhones, and you turned that on yourself because that didn't happen to anyone else.
I didn't turn that on.
Are
It
you
just started
sure?
happening.
Oh, I'm sure, Tim. Nothing's ever your fault, is it?
Yeah, well, this is not my fault.
Well, it didn't happen to anyone else.
I'm just saying every time I hear it now, every time I get a text, if I've got my earphones in, it like tells me so-and-so sent you a text and said X, Y, and Z.
Do you think that happened when you updated your iOS, or was that when you first got your new Bluetooth headphones to plug in
I don't
wireless
know. I don't
headphones
know.
at
I don't
that?
know. I don't know.
Because-
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, so are you sure it's the iOS update, or when you first plugged in your Bluetooth wireless headphones, which you're now a big fan of apparently after years of, I can't wear wireless headphones. How could I ever figure that out? That maybe that had been turned on the entire time. You just weren't using wireless headphones. So the moment
I think it is the
the
update.
moment you got those, it started to happen, because I will reiterate, this happened to no one else besides you.
I think it was the update only because I don't recall getting them in the last few weeks before yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it was the update. I couldn't swear to it, but again, another example of why I don't like updates. But you know, you're right.
But
Okay,
the
Jeff,
update had nothing to do with it. So all that's really changed
I want
from
to
your
address Jeff's comment that he's like, "Oh, well, if you could have won this thing, you just pulled the Joe Biden, hid in your basement for 6 months, and said you couldn't go on TV because
Yeah, if you just sent out memes and didn't open your mouth.
the ceilings were too low at his house, so you couldn't have a camera in there for a month. And you know, like, do you think I should have just played the front porch campaign? Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm rolling up my sleeves and trying to get into the mix to fight for votes and express my thoughts as I see them. And you know what? It makes me happier knowing that people are hearing takes that you think are crazy and are saying, despite that, I'm still voting for Geoff.
Guys,
Just pouring a hot coal on you.
he literally pictures you all watching your Netflix from mobile devices.
Which a lot of people do, I bet.
I'm sure that
You
when people are on the go, sure. I feel like there are very few people that are like at home, their TV is off, they're sitting in their recliner and on their phone watching Netflix.
I bet you the percentage of people whose Netflix hours are spent on an iPad or an
That's
iPhone.
not the question.
That's not the question
Are
at hand here,
You're
Tim.
changing
Really
it. You're
high.
changing it.
Yeah, you have now twisted this to make it seem like
If
something
you
that's
watch
reasonable.
Netflix on your iPad, or you know people that watch Netflix on their iPad, you should vote for Geoff.
No, if you watch Netflix on your iPad while on your couch or main home TV chair on your laptop instead of on your TV, that's weird.
Yes, that is absolutely that's insane person behavior.
It's actually alarmingly weird, to be perfectly honest.
And to go back to the entire point of this before, when we tried to talk about football, we got railed off course with this. And we're not even at Cust Corner yet. Maybe this can double as the Cust Corner. Either way. Tim, how much do you pay a month for Disney Plus?
Pardon me?
How much?
I don't know what Disney Plus costs a month.
Yeah, okay. Do you have Disney Plus?
I use Disney Plus, yes.
Yeah, so you pay $0 a month for Disney Plus, correct?
I didn't say that.
You do pay $0 a month for Disney Plus. You use my Disney Plus, like I use your Netflix.
I don't know if we want to talk about this in public.
Tim, that's not illegal. That You have up to 10 accounts that you can put on it. And that's kind of the thing when it comes to these streaming services, that one person buys one, another person buys another one, another person buys another one. And that's how you end up with all of them. Like I pay for Paramount Plus and I pay for Disney Plus. I have your Netflix. I have someone else's HBO Max. I have someone else's Crave. And like it costs me like $25 a month and I have them all. Okay. So your point about it cost...
There's still a bunch of other
Tim is worried the FBI is listening to
Yeah.
that, and he doesn't want to implicate himself.
I like that he's gone quiet, like he's really shook about this.
Look, I follow the rules.
What? These are the rules. These are the rules.
He's no rat. He's not going to rat out your operation.
I don't know what you're talking about. There's no operation.
Either way, and DAZN, like with all the sports, like I agree that sports outside of actual cable sucks.
I had DAZN the first year that there was NFL Sunday Ticket.
Yeah, but
unavailable
they made it. I mean, they made it
Never
a lot
again.
better. The first year that it came out up here, it was horrible for Sunday Ticket, but that's been rectified. They now do a really good job with it in terms of it's not as up to date as. It's probably like 23 seconds behind, where real TV is 7 seconds behind.
Oh, I know. We watched it this year. At the house.
I use DAZN when I'm lying with my 5-year-old in bed during Thursday and Monday night football.
Yeah, that's what I used to watch because I don't have a TV in my room. I'll watch the game on DAZN. Yeah, like the primetime games because I mean it's super late out here, so I'm going to bed because I have to get up early with the kids. So I'm just watching it in bed on my phone. Like that's easy enough because I don't like to have a TV in my room. Although I probably should at this point now if we're going to be watching stuff. On
I am
phone.
the one of these people that have still. Well, it's kind of embarrassing to admit, but sort of like Tim, I watch my streaming services on the big screen on my smart TV when I can. But, even though I have a Fire Stick, which gives me, Quest channels and all this stuff everywhere, I still haven't been able to like pull the plug on cable. I like having access. I just like having it. It just in my head, even though when I catch myself rarely using it, I don't know. I'm still a sucker. So they got me still.
Well, the big thing is like there are different types. Like you can buy one of these. I think we talked about this a few months ago, and a lot of people tweeted at me with this stuff. And I've seen people have them. I forget what like the box itself is called. But you buy it for like $150. You sign up for like $20 a year or whatever it is, and you get like 1,700 channels from around the world.
Yeah, that's what I have. That's what I just call a Fire Stick.
Oh, yeah. So you have like the jailbroken Fire Stick, basically.
Yeah,
like those things are legit. Like if you actually want to cut the cord, get one of those. It has everything.
Yeah, but the sports is still like sometimes it's still a couple minutes behind. I don't know. I'm just it's very advantageous.
For sports, realistically, especially if you're live betting, you're trying to follow along in real time. You can't use. I think Tim jumped off the line because now he thinks like, yeah, the FBI is coming to his door because he uses my Disney Plus account.
No, I'm here. I'm just listening to you converse.
Okay.
About you
listening to us implicate ourselves
about your various jailbroken devices and stuff. Such.
It's a brand new world to Tim. Either way, to go back to the point, many people have all of this stuff now, and a lot of people are even using things like the CBS app, which I think is free to use. If a lot of these apps for the companies themselves, like Apple Plus, for example, Tim, you get Apple Plus for free if you want it. You just don't use it.
Don't have it, don't use it, don't know how to use it. But sure, it comes up in my settings that I have so many free months of this, that, or the other.
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff, if you have cable, you can use almost all of these streaming services for free if you want to. Like, I have Paramount Plus for, like 6 months free and all this, and it's like $3 a month afterwards just because they want to keep me on as a customer. And the only thing that I watch on it is the Challenge All-Stars. That's literally the only thing. Although, Tim, you would love it. It has like every crappy CBS show you could ever want. It has all the NCISs. I know how mad you were that the game went into overtime, so you didn't get to see on time the brand new episode of CSI Hawaii.
No, I'm listen. I don't watch the NCISs, but during my weekly calls with my grandmother, she is so excited the football's over because she can't stand when 60 Minutes gets delayed from its normal time.
Sorry to our West Coast viewers.
Yeah, and I get it. Like I watch 60 Minutes quite a bit too, and I mean I understand why you'd want to start your regular TV show at a regular time, but. Football's going to win.
Well, let's talk football.
I just feel we're like 3 weeks away from Tim coming on here and talking to us about how amazing Netflix on his TV is. Like, we haven't experienced it before. Like, it's new. Like when he Googles about a trunk that can open, which is like an 8-year-old car model thing.
Well, I have used it before. I've gone to the channel. I've typed in my password.
That's garbage. That's garbage. That you're not using it the right way. You're using your cable's version of Netflix, which does, honestly, I've tried it before. It has a super long lag time. The apps on the TV are like instantaneous.
But so are my laptops.
But then you don't have to watch it on your laptop. You can watch it on your TV, which I presume is what you bought your TV for in the first place.
I got it as a gift for Christmas, so I actually didn't even buy the TV.
Why are you wasting all those inches?
I am watching sports on it all the time.
But why wouldn't you just watch everything on it all the time?
Look, you know what? I promise for a science experiment, I will try.
Listen, I get that you can watch your Fran Lebowitz documentaries on your computer, but you should probably watch like the good movies and the intense drama shows on the television.
Plus the sound is a lot better on your TV than computer.
That may be. I don't know.
It is. I'll just tell you right
now. I said I don't know.
All right. So yeah, that's your goal for the week. You report back. That will be part of our show next week. You can report back to us how it is using these apps on your TV. And you'll be shocked to find out, incredibly simple. Kansas City is hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. They are 7-point favorites at the moment. 54.5 is the over-under. As you guys have pointed out already, the Bengals haven't looked good so far yet. They're 2-0 in the playoffs. I think that they cover this number. I think the Bengals are live to win this game, crazily enough. Whatever's going on with their defense, it's fine. And everyone just wants to shit on it. They're like, hey, the Bengals defense is so bad. It was fine when it played Kansas City last time. They were getting to Ryan Tannehill. They were forcing turnovers last week in Tennessee. And I know that the Kansas City offensive line is better than the Tennessee offensive line, at least when it comes to pass blocking. And at its best, I found it strange, maybe because the Bills ended up getting behind in that game, but Singletary, not necessarily pounding it like time after time on the ground, but at the beginning of the game, he was running somewhat effectively and being utilized as a pass catcher out of the backfield. That seemed to cause a real problem for the Chiefs. And then the Bills just completely got away from it. Maybe because Gabe Davis was open on every single play. Who knows? But I do think that there's a balance if they want to use it in the Bengals offense. Now, their pass-heavy strategy the past 7 weeks has been really fruitful. They've been excellent over the past month and a half when it comes to their new game plan of passing above expectation. But I think Mixon's a real wild card here. If he has a good game, they could control the ball and win this one.
I am sort of leaning with you, Pat, and this might sound crazy and maybe offensive to some Chief fans. I actually think Buffalo has a better defensive line, and therefore Kansas City might actually be a better matchup for the Bengals than Buffalo. Neither would have been ideal. The spread would have been kind of large in both of them, but I'm going to take the touchdown back here. I just think it's too many points. You pick against Mahomes, it's a real possibility you get blown out, and you know that this thing was never meant to be 10 minutes into the game. But I to piggyback off a lot of the points you say, do think the Bengals can hang around in this one and have the elements to keep this a much closer game than people think, I believe.
The coin is going with the Kansas City Chiefs. Tim, who are you going with?
I'm going to take the Chiefs. A distressing thing that might be the case if I were the Bengals would be that the last two playoff games I had pretty decent leads and gave up those leads, or almost gave up those leads in both. I didn't really hold fast very well. Now, we saw this game 3-4 weeks ago. That was a very exciting game up and down the field. It was in Cincinnati, and the Chiefs ended up losing sort of at the gun. Look, my opinion is still that Mahomes is so good and has sort of like this team in the second half of the game against the Steelers, in the second half of the game against the Bills in particular, really the whole game against the Bills, just put it in just sort of move through the gears. And when they're flying at top speed, you just can't stop them. And the Bengals have overachieved as a franchise. This is a marvelous accomplishment to get to the championship game. but this is really as far as this is going to go. I don't think this team is quite ready yet. Of course, look, it's the NFL. It's one game. It's any team could beat any team in the NFL in one game. Of course they could. But I feel very comfortable playing Kansas City in this game. We're going to tease the Chiefs down to minus 0.5, and we're also going to tease the over of this game. So it's going to turn the over into 48 points. I think there should be a decent amount of points scored in this game, irrespective of weather, pretty much. I hope it's fun. I hope it's interesting. I think it's going to look more like the last two AFC Championship games, which were in both games, the Titans and the Bills got up early on the Chiefs, and both teams had no chance of covering by the end of it. And I think we're going to see 3 for 3.
It's hard to disagree with, a lot of those points that they're, you're picking up against Mahomes, the Bengals. Even if they get a lead, does it matter? We've seen the Chiefs at home, be it last week with 13 seconds or that Houston game a couple years ago. They'll spot you 20. And it's okay, let's go. Let's figure this out. I don't know. I'm not really expecting the Bengals to win. I'm kind of maybe silly enough just expecting some of this playoff mystique that we've had this year where these games are just close and they're coming down to the fourth quarter.
Oh, extra day of rest for the Bengals. Kansas City coming off an overtime game. This seems to fit all the things you love to play, Geoff.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. Part of me wanted that first game to go to overtime because that would be better for our 49ers futures statistically this week. So I can't deny it as it comes up to the Bengals, but Tim say it's not hard. It's easy to go to your window or your website and just double click Kansas City because you just believe in them. And as Tim alluded, once you're playing, these guys are at top speed. Just good luck. Good luck. You could be up, doesn't matter if they have that 1.5 elite quarters. Almost doesn't matter if you can hold them in check and play back and forth with them for the first part of the game.
Playoff teams, right? If you look against the Titans, or it's against the Texans, against the Titans, against the 49ers in the Super Bowl,
against the Browns last year,
against the Browns, against the Bills last year, they were down 9-0. Against the Steelers, down 7-0, well into the second quarter. The Bills had them by a score a couple of times very late in the fourth quarter. It doesn't matter with this team. One team has figured them out, and that was the Buccaneers, and they were just so much better on the day that it was aberrational. The Bengals don't do what the Buccaneers did really well, which is pass rush like crazy. The Bengals are not going to be able to get home, I don't think, effectively enough. They're not the right team to beat the Chiefs. Their only opportunity to win is to win an aerial attack. And sure, that could happen. The Chiefs have a terrible secondary. And you can absolutely score points on them. That and that alone is their ticket to victory, I think. And I just don't think it's going to happen. I think the Bengals are not quite there yet. I'm rooting for the Bengals.
You Pat, I like you, I lean the Bengals, but are you feeling like you want to put real money on the 7 points?
I'm going to wait because I think this only gets bigger by the time Sunday comes around because no one's sitting at home right now being like, who I want to bet this weekend? The Bengals. That's just not the case. Any logical person looks at this and be like, yeah, Kansas City's probably going to win this game. I might as well take them to cover the 7. Then they're going to look at it and be like, oh yeah, I'll take them to cover the 7.5. And then it'll be 9 by the time that Sunday comes around. So I think I'm going to bet on the Bengals, but I'm going to wait until Sunday because I don't think that we're going to get a worse number than 7. So I don't want to time.
It would be pretty. Part of me, the gambling degen.
Yeah, you would think it stayed at 7. This is great news for me. The Bengals are definitely
or even
cover
in the
now.
full Cam. Yeah, in the full Cam headspace. Working with him so many years, he could put you in that headspace. That if it actually goes to 6.5, you wish you had the 7, but that's really good for your Bengals lean. I'm not one of those, but I do totally agree that I do like the Bengals. And there's no point in betting this 7 because if it goes to 6.5, that would shock me. And yeah, I just don't really see that happening with what just happened with all the points Tim laid out, with the fact that they're clearly the team to beat versus a team that, I don't know, they're very new in this spot. And I loved the Titans last week. So I took an L on that one. And I love Like when the Bengals won that first game versus Oakland, and when you're doing victory laps, high-fiving your lower bowl of your stadium, I feel like you're an auto fade the next week.
Yeah, that's a bit of a different circumstance because they hadn't won a playoff game since like 1991.
Yeah, I know, but I really didn't like the Bengals last week. So call it a zigzag. I don't even love them this week. Maybe I tease them because I'm going to want a part of the game. And I'll be perfectly honest. The show was amazing on Sunday night. It was incredible. There are no words. Even for me, like I've gotten so many carrier pigeon messages. You would think Rovell's tweeted something stupid, which happens regularly, about how lucky I am that I have a quarterback that might be able to do that, like play in that game. But I watched that game like the rest of you. I don't know who your favorite team's quarterback is. It probably doesn't have a future ceiling as good as mine, but I was still like, oh my God, because I just lived through a world. I spent my adolescence needing to beat Brady and Manning in back-to-back weeks to go to a Super Bowl. And I never did it. Could never do it one time. Not one time. And you know who CBS probably hated the most in those years? Me. Because what did we do? We ruined. There could have been like 2 or 3 more Patriot Colt playoff games if not for the Chargers knocking out the Colts.
I mean, the Jets literally beat the Colts and the Patriots in back-to-back years in the playoffs too. It wasn't just you.
Yeah, no, you were part of it too. So you experienced it in some regard. And I kind of feel like I don't care that I have this, like in this moment, like, yeah, it's great. So I have this quarterback that'll make the games more of a heartbreaking loss because we'll be able to compete but not win. So I don't feel any better than the rest of you fans of 27, 8 other teams in this league.
The Bengals remind me a lot.
Hold on. This is the exact question that I wanted to pose to you guys because I have 2 answers to this. Tim, you're reading my mind. We're in simpatico right now that we're off of streaming, right? Who are the team that they remind you of?
The New York Jets, who made back-to-back championship games, a very similar team.
No, they're not, because that team was predicated on good defense and a quarterback that was not going to win you games. This is the opposite of that.
Less so the second year. The second year, not so much. When Sanchez was in his second year, and that offense had a lot more potency, and the defense
Arizona,
yes,
before.
the Arizona team that lost in the Super Bowl to the Steelers, the Warner Arizona Cardinals, remind me of this Bengals team, as do the Aaron Rodgers Packers who won the Super Bowl.
No, I would say the Steelers team that won the Super. No, trying to think if there's any comp for this Bengals team.
I mean, Philly is kind of a weird comp who beat the Patriots a few years ago, except Burrow's way better than Foles.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I compare him to Green Bay and those Arizona teams, because they had this elite quarterback. And then all of a sudden the playoffs came around and they just kept getting it done. I mean, obviously those teams look better than Cincinnati has through 2 rounds, but if Cincinnati goes out and wins this game 41-31, it's like, oh yeah, that's exactly how those Warner Cardinals would have won a game. That's exactly how the 2010 Packers would have won a game. Like, you just eventually, the star power of your quarterback and the explosiveness of an offense all comes together at once, and the defense just plays well enough. They don't need to be great. They just can't be horrendous like the Bills were towards the end of that game.
Okay, I see it. I'll buy that.
But those are really the only comps, so you can see why it's more of an outlier
I was
than
thinking
anything
that's
else.
only because you had a young quarterback and a team that was overachieving big time. That eventually got to championship games where they just couldn't take care of business against teams that were just better than them.
Yeah, but I don't think that anyone sees this Bengals team that way. Like the Jets.
I feel like the Titans 2 years ago were like that too.
Yeah, but I feel like the Titans are more like those Jets teams than the Bengals are like these Jets teams.
Yeah, it was just because we had the young quarterback then. That was the.
Yeah, but you knew Sanchez wasn't a star. You knew what Sanchez was, even in those championship games. Like, you knew that he was never going to be an MVP candidate or anything like that.
Yeah, that's
maybe
fair.
Maybe you thought that he was going to be, but
No, that's fair. That's fair. I just thought he was really good, but not a star. Yeah, no, that's fair.
You know what those Jets teams were actually like? The San Francisco team that went to the Super Bowl and lost to Kansas City.
That's a fair point too.
Like, Jimmy G's better than Sanchez, but I think the people, when they think about those quarterbacks, and I'm talking about Mark Sanchez those 2 years when he was legit good, you feel like a Jimmy G type quarterback.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair comp too.
Yeah, but with Burrow, like, you have this ascending quarterback who could be the best quarterback in the league in 3 years, kind of thing, for the next 10 years. Like, he has that potential. That's how people regard him. Like,
This could be this really could be that Andrew Luck led Colts that got blown out the championship game to the Patriots.
very true that you are 100. It could be like the Kansas City team.
Oh yeah,
It could
yeah. We could be looking at just like that. But wasn't that a deflated balls game? That was
Yeah,
a deflated balls.
7 for the Patriots in that championship game after they pulled off the upset against Denver when Denver wasn't that great as people thought, and they won that miracle game against the Chiefs in the first round. Yeah, maybe that 20 with Luck being into his youth.
You have number 1 overall pick, quickly getting that team to back. Well, the Colts were there for a lot with Manning. For the Bengals, it's a bit of a different trajectory, but make the draft pick, and then within 2.5 years, you're pretty much playing for the right to play for a Super Bowl. So yeah, that, and now you have to go up against the preeminent team of the time. So yeah, that I think is probably a very fair comparison. If they lose the game big, we'll look at that comp very well.
You could look at that comp, or you could just call them the Chiefs from the year they lost to the Patriots in overtime in the AFC Championship game. Like, it could come down to that, which is why I like the 7 points. I think it's going to be a close game. Not necessarily a close game, but I think it's going to be obviously within 7 if I'm taking the Bengals.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
The Chargers beat the Bengals 41-22.
The Jets beat the Bengals.
Just beat the Titans.
Doesn't matter.
Jets beat the Titans. Jets.
I also, so I don't mean, my head only works in ways. The Chargers and the Bills both went 1-1 versus the Chiefs, losing a game in overtime that they probably feel they should have won.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the difference between the Chiefs this year and the Chiefs, although the Chiefs lost in the Super Bowl last year. Like, they felt unbeatable the last 2 years. They feel beatable this year.
Oh, yeah, they don't have this. I mean, I say this, and then you remember the first drive of the game where Mahomes had pressure on all those third downs. Like, even think of the first third down conversion the Chiefs made on Sunday was as spectacular as some of the late fourth quarter magic. But going into that game on Sunday, I did have this feeling that, like, when you watch the Chiefs, you don't feel as hopeless on 3rd and 6 as I feel like we did the last couple years. Then they go into that game and they quickly remind, no, we're just as dangerous. We're just as dangerous. So we'll see. That's the thing. If they're playing to their peak ceiling, then I don't know. Everybody's in big effing trouble.
Oh, for sure. The one thing I'll say about Zach Taylor in this game, because I think that the Chargers, I mean, you can criticize the way that Staley has coached throughout the entire year and the decisions he made. But the going forward on 4th and 11 and 4th and 7 and all that shit is what you need to do against Kansas City. And I think that Zach Taylor will be doing that this week. There's not going to be a whole lot of punting from the opposition's 48-yard line on 4th and 6 and stuff like that.
There were a lot of people, blue check marks, who, never mind. I don't want to get into it, but
you don't want to create a Jeff's biggest rival for next year right now?
No, but you can't watch the games and then be hypercritical when one coach does it and then be so upset when another coach forbids to do it. And I'm not even talking about Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, where you could debate the going forward on the own half. And I don't doubt Staley got reckless multiple times, but I'm making the actual comparison to the situations in that Thursday night game where people were furious with Staley, blue check marks, and then McDermott doesn't do similar things and people are furious with McDermott. So what do you want? You just realized 89% of the Twitter that I feel is just reacting to how something impacts their bet and not anything previous to it.
100%. Let's go to the NFC Championship game, because this is the one that means the most to you and I, Jeff, and I'm going to have this discussion with Pizzola and Cam. I actually did want to say it. I want to hear if Rob is picking against the Bengals on the Best Bet show this week, that I'll just blindly take the Bengals, because every time he's been openly against the Bengals, just take the Bengals. That's the move.
Well, he hates the Bengals.
Well, he does hate the Bengals. Everyone knows it. This is well known. The Rams are favored by 3.5 at DraftKings Sportsbook right now. 46 is the over-under. Obviously, there's the big narrative right now. The Niners have beat the Rams in 6 consecutive games. 4 of those were the goof games, and then 2 of them were the Stafford games from this year. And the Rams really should have won the last time. I mean, that's gonna be the turning point of the season when the Rams look back of could they won the Super Bowl or not. if they lose this game is that they were up 17-0 against the 49ers in week 18 with a chance to eliminate them from the playoff and completely gagged it away. So that's not great news.
Sort of all worked
And
out-
that was
sort of all worked out for them. They get to host the NFC Championship game now.
Yeah, but not if they.
Sort of all-
But,
hold
yeah,
on.
but if you let a team come back on you for them to make the playoffs, and then they beat you again in the playoffs to knock you out, that's not going to be great news.
No, but you know what? Teams, it is hard to beat a team 3 times in a row, particularly when the Rams are so much better than you are. I love the Rams this week. I have to say, love the Rams. They have got to be the play. The Rams got to the precipice of death and then pulled back from it. If you're a Rams backer, you've got to feel so good about that fact that Stafford finally thrust into the biggest moment of his life, makes the biggest throw of his life, and makes that catch. And they defeat the champs in their building with a kicker who was injured to take that game. Like, yeah, they did everything on God's green earth to give away that football game. They tried to lose it, but they didn't. They came close to disaster, but then they overcame disaster. And I feel really good about them going home on the fast track against a San Francisco team which can't score. They struggled to score against Dallas. They, of course, struggled desperately. They didn't score a single offensive touchdown against Green Bay in a very unusual game. Their defense is very good. Their defense is not good enough to win this ball game. I think the Rams are going to, for an opportunity to host a home Super Bowl. I really like the Rams in this spot. I think this line should be 4.5 or 5, and it's going to get to 3. It's going to get to 2.5. People are going to be betting San Francisco. They're going to be the public side, but the Rams have got to be the play. They just have to be.
By the time the show is released and people watch it, I'm wagering that it's probably going to be down to -3. It's still -3.5 right now everywhere I'm looking, but the VIG on one side is increasing where the VIG on the other side is going up, and usually that means that half point is coming off right away. If the half point goes, we'll see if it gets down to 2.5, because it gets down to 2.5, it might get down to 1.5 like that Bills game ended up doing points last week right before kickoff. Geoff, what do we do here? Because I have 2 bets. I have the 60-1 on the Niners to win the Super Bowl, but I also have them 30-1 to win the NFC. Should I hedge out of the NFC one? Because if this line gets beat down, like it's -165 on the Rams money line right now. If it gets down to 3, like I could be looking at -150 on the money line and ensure that I win some money out of this bet. Because the payouts, the payout's all right, but it's not as much as it would be if I just took the money and bet the -150 and then just pray Cincinnati beats Kansas City, and all of a sudden I'm looking real live in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably still be a let it ride guy. I've got 60-1 on a couple tickets. I went back in at 35-1. So I'm quite excited for the 49ers. I see the game differently than Tim does. Even on Saturday, like with my 49er future, I was still willing to double down on them in that game. Like I felt that good about it. I think they're maybe the most complete team left in this postseason. The Kyle Shanahan McVay thing is really weird. And, walking up to a roulette wheel, I would like McVay is way too good a coach for this thing to be a thing that much longer. But as weird as it is, it's very real. Like when you consider that week 18 game, Pat, but also the element of McVay before that week 18 game is 45-0 in his NFL coaching career with a lead at halftime or some shit like that. And now he's 45-1. So not only this Shanahan streak, but Shanahan's the one coach that actually like in game messed this guy up bigly also on a comeback. Yeah, give me the 49ers. I could argue that they are the better team. Despite
They're
Tim's
not.
take.
The encouraging thing for you guys should be that the 49ers stopped using Kittle like he's a tackle and started using him like he's a pass catcher.
No, you're referencing one game where that was strategy. You're probably not. Listen, would I have them to have given him the ball more versus Dallas? Yes. Do I assume Dallas was doing something?
They didn't use him against the Rams either in week 18. They finally used him last week, and he made a couple of catches that saved their season.
He's amazing. And I'm sure he's part of the game plan. But there's other coach on the other side, and if they take him away, the 49ers will get the ball elsewhere. And don't worry, Jimmy G's dumb enough to force the ball to Kittle, even when he is covered. I'm interested to know who's going to be in the stands on Sunday.
Yeah, is
Trent
Williams going to play? No, but is Trent Williams going to play for one thing? And then will this be a Niners
Yeah, he's
home
playing.
game? Do we know for
How
sure?
healthy is Debo? How healthy is the linebacker?
I think Debo seems like he's fine. He was like dancing after the game. I think he just got like a shot in the cold to the knee, and it was just like, ugh. And he seemed fine after that. He's practicing. He's already practicing in full. Trent Williams is the one that worries me because I would want my all-pro left tackle to be on the field against this Rams defensive line. But I think this is going to turn into a San Francisco home game, just like it did in Week 18.
I don't think I don't have the concerns of Williams not playing that you do. Granted, it's earlier enough in the week. They're trying to put restrictions on who can buy tickets for the game. You have to be in the Los Angeles area to get tickets, which, I mean, I have a couple thoughts on this. It's really strange.
What are the chances that there are more 49er fans in Los Angeles County than Rams fans?
I actually don't think so.
I don't think so, but here's the thing. That stadium is so huge. They can't sell that game out without opening it up. I mean it. That stadium on Sunday, 49er fans are no idiots. They're from tech country. They'll just go onto the apps and buy their tickets. You will not keep that team, a preeminent franchise fan base, out of that stadium on Sunday. That's going to be 77% red and 12% celebrity and 11% Rams fans.
I, for one, am looking forward to A-Rod in his San Francisco 49ers ball cap.
You're not.
How funny was that? They literally had a plan. A-Rod, as our boy, I guess as my guy Marshall Ferguson pointed out, A-Rod was literally told what time to be in that seat. You're in your warm box suite all game, but at the start of the fourth quarter, we've got these seats down there. We need you in there for our out of or into commercial shot. And he handled it. He knew he was on camera, and he's the pros pro. And he lets J-Lo know he's wheeling.
He's from Miami, but of course a diehard Packers fan.
Well, he spent that game in a heated suite, but was instructed what time to be in a seat downstairs. He did not have the vibe of a guy who'd been sitting outside for 3 quarters. Okay.
No, not when you've made $750 million in your career, or whatever A-Rod made.
Why didn't you just show up in your Rob Lowe generic NFL hat? Go football. You gotta do some press for Lone Star 911. Do you watch that on the that seems like a CBS show, isn't it?
I've never watched that show. I have to admit.
What? How are you now?
I believe it's Fox.
That is the most most commercials I see on TV for a random show that I would never watch is definitely that one.
I don't like ambulance based or hospital shows.
I do like 911. I have watched quite a few episodes of that. That's pretty good.
I liked Rescue 911.
I like Rescue Me.
That's the one with Dennis Leary, right?
Yeah, the firefighter show. It was a great show.
Right.
So I'm taking San Francisco, but I have no objectivity on this. I really want them to win this game for my own personal benefit. And I'm going to talk it through with Pizzola about what the potential hedge options are here. Because if they play actually, I saw the and this didn't make any sense to me. So I feel like it's wrong. But I think it was David Behrman from ESPN. Tweeted out what the lines would be for each of the matchups should Cincinnati win or Kansas City win or San Francisco win or the Rams win in each of the individual matchups. And it said that the Chiefs would be favored by 2.5 over the Niners, which makes no sense to me considering the Rams are 3.5 point favorites against them. And Kansas City was like a 2.5 point favorite against the Rams.
Yeah, well, it's probably similar to what the spread was 2 years ago, right? And it's in a neutral site and close. It's in California. I don't know. I mean, I think that there would be a lot of money on San Francisco if it's a rematch of that Super Bowl from 2 years ago. And I would probably be inclined to look at the dog if it got to 3 or 3.5.
No. Let's not do that. Keep it at 2.5, and you bet on the Chiefs, please.
Despite the Rams or the 49ers being 2-0 against the Rams, I actually really thought that the Bucks would be a better matchup for the 49ers.
Yo, I agree. You don't want to play the same team 3 times in a row.
Yeah, that whole thing. Like, I'm a believer in that aspect, despite, I'm fully in on the wagon. I have watched this league so many times. But here's the weird part about it, Tim. The team that's 2-0 is always the home team and always the favorite.
That's true.
That's why this dynamic is so different than the other dynamics of the 2-0 division team, like Dallas getting 9 points at home versus the Giants in a big playoff game. That's my quarterback. You know, we beat them twice in the regular season. That third time is never fun. But this dynamic of the underdog road team, I can't recall this one ever, to be
You're
honest.
making a very good point. I can't recall it either.
And I'm surprised you haven't made mention of your nostalgia wanting a 49er Bengal rematch.
Oh, that would be nice. I would like any of the matchups, to be honest with you, except the one we just mentioned, Chiefs 49ers. We just saw that.
I have nostalgia. I have nostalgia for 2020. That was pre-pandemic. Life was good.
It's a great game. I like it.
I'll be fine with any of these 4 Super Bowls, but I want the Rams to be there because I picked the Rams to make the Super Bowl at the start of the year. And this could be now 3 of the 4 teams I picked over the last 2 years to make the Super Bowl would have made it. So for credit purposes, the Rams really need to win here for me.
I would really, never mind. I want the 49ers to win because I have a future on the 49ers.
Yes.
Nothing to do with the Rams just owning, just literally making me like the 1992 Clippers if they want to go win this Super Bowl. Like that's where I think I'm headed, to be perfectly honest. And that's just a fate that I should have already accepted in some regards. And I will say, because I often, like many people, criticize the Rams for how they built it, because I'm dumb enough to believe you got to use your draft picks. You got to hit on the 3rd round pick. You get them on that multi-year contract, peanuts, 4th rounders, 5th rounders, build your Legion of Boom, have your quarterback, blah, blah, blah. But while 31 teams did it one way, the Rams said, no, draft picks have value. We understand that. We're just going to utilize their value differently than the rest of you. Well, here they are.
Well, it's actually a really good zag, and this is just usually what happens in sports, and people don't realize it until like 3 years after the fact. And some teams just stumble into it, whether or not they were trying to do it anyway. Sometimes their hand is forced. Like even if you look at someone like the Cavs in basketball this year, using like big men, like they basically just play 3 big men all the time. When it was, hey, let's just play small with like rangy big men, and we're just going to shoot threes the entire game. They still shoot a ton of threes, but they have this size to them that is just making them a problem for a lot of teams because everyone tried to replicate what the Warriors were doing after their run with Curry and Clay. In the NFL, people saw the success that you could have with Andrew Luck on a rookie deal or Russell Wilson on a rookie deal and how well that would work. And it made it so, because when you have to pay a quarterback $45 million, it's going to suck up all your cap space. And you felt like teams on these rookie deals had this 4-year window to do it. So these draft picks became so important and so valuable that you're right. The Rams just said, well, if they're so valuable, let me go get real players for them. We'll leverage these picks and get way more than we probably should.
You're not wrong. They just use their value differently. And if you ever heard Les Snead speak, he kind of acknowledges that. They're not idiots. They realize they have value. They just executed the value out of those picks differently. And clearly you can't argue with the results. Jared Goff would not have saved them on Sunday. He would not have. And, you know, as great as the Beckham thing is, imagine how potentially screwed they would have been had they not gotten Beckham, and Robert Woods does have that knee injury that week. You know, we're on to Ben Sadowski?
I love when teams do the exact opposite of what everybody else is doing. I love that innovation. I mean, so often it fails and people get mocked and scorned for it, but when it works, it's the greatest thing. I love to see teams be innovative and try stuff or throw back and do things that people haven't done for forever and try that in sports. Like that sort of stuff thrills me. I really like that. And so it's another reason I'm sort of interested to see how the Rams do. But look, the Rams have only won half of the games they need to win the Super Bowl. So let's be calm. Like this hasn't worked for them yet. If they lose on Sunday, the season in a lot of ways is still a failure.
Yeah, yes and no, but they've been to the Super Bowl, they've been to the playoffs, each of the past 3 or 4 years right now with this strategy. I mean, people are going to say ultimately it's a disappointing outcome because they didn't win a Super Bowl if they end up losing this game, but listen, only one team can win. The best thing you can do is put yourself in the best position to win. And I feel like they've done that, and they optimized it with the strategy that they use. Look how many, you had that Patriots run where they won the 3, but they were basically in the title game. Like, who would you rather be? The team that didn't do anything, or the failure that was the Philadelphia Eagles with Donovan McNabb, who went to 6 championship games? Like, they were there, a few lucky breaks, and they win 2 of those Super Bowls. People think that McNabb's a surefire Hall of Famer based on the success that he had, but now he sucks because there are players that get criticized and teams that get criticized by losing in the championship games all the time, or losing these playoff
Aaron
games
Rodgers
versus players that don't make the play. Like, you are better off losing and not making the playoffs for like your historic record rather than going to the playoffs and losing, which is completely insane.
No,
we have this conversation in golf all the time. It's like that guy that contends but loses on the 17th hole is a bigger loser than the guy who never contends.
Yeah, the guy who missed the cut every time.
Like, it just is what it is. And that's fair. And, to some respect, Matt Stafford is coming out of the other side of that. Like, you can be the guy that's never there, but when you finally get there, you're going to have to answer questions. And you feel so happy for a guy like Stafford making that play and hearing him talk after the game that he like always dreamed of making that play in a playoff game to jugular out
I think
somebody.
To have the Rams hosting the Super Bowl against the Chiefs with Jackson Mahomes doing all kinds of TikToks before the game. How exciting will that be?
Oh, it's whatever. They're their own thing. It's almost like, I have my thing with, Rovell, but it's almost like you can't even take the bait with Jackson and Brittany anymore.
I am.
Like,
can I say that I'm a huge fan of Jackson Mahomes?
No, you said this a month ago.
I'm now a fan too, despite the stupidity of dancing.
I
on
love
Sean
it.
Taylor's.
I love how regular people will. I assume, based on the way that they talk about him, that their entire day is ruined if they see a picture of Jackson Mahomes. Like, you people, you need
Kansas City. Have you seen that thing with the local restaurant?
Yeah, but the more I looked into it, the less bad it actually seemed. Like, it was just kind of a prick move, but
yeah, give me my table. My brother's rich.
Yeah,
type. Whatever.
Yeah, but I feel like
rich guy.
But I feel like that's not actually what it was. That's how it was framed. But if you actually looked at what they said, Jackson Mahomes, it wasn't a great situation, but it wasn't that. That from what I recall about the story, it came out 6 weeks ago. It's a fucking thing that I read about Jackson Mahomes. But that's how people on the internet tried to frame it. But then, like, the whole post was revealed. It's like, oh, okay. And it was something a bit different. So they tried to, like, people just...
Jackson Mahomes and Brittany, if they go to the Super Bowl, they should spend that week off in LA going to parties, doing a reality show, triggering everybody.
I agree. I just
agree with that.
I just love how mad they make everyone.
Yeah.
And I told you, if Jake or Logan Paul want to become the biggest heroes in the world, fight Jackson Mahomes and knock him out. That's their face turn right there. They go for me. Although they're already kind of doing it. Like, the Paul brothers are becoming way more likable by the... Don't you find? Like, people don't hate them anymore. People are like, kind of respect what they're up to. I think they've done some shrewd marketing moves. I can't remember if it was Jake or Logan, because I actually don't know them apart. But one of them was like very pro UFC fighters union. It's like, hey, we'll pay you more money to come fight with us rather than getting paid no money.
Yeah, the guy that's boxing.
Yeah. But like,
one of them bought $3.5 million of fake Pokemon cards.
Sick. What if they bought $3.5 million of fake Justin Herbert Pokemon cards? Would you be jealous?
Whatever. The investments don't grow when you don't get to be part of those fun games, Pat. That's just the reality. Before we leave Rams 49ers, Tim might respect this from me. Pardon?
We didn't leave that game yet?
Well, we're still talking football and peripheral of that game in some respects. If I was a 49er fan, I tell you, I would be scared shitless that the league is going to work against me here. Fair or unfair, that is the headspace I would be.
Oh, I don't know about that, because I do...
No, hold on, let me go. There is not a man in the history of the National Football League who has put out more of his own money to make an effort to grow and expand what was already enormous. And the fact that they can then win this game and play at home and just change, as silly as it sounds, because it's just such a fickle town, like change everything about the return of football to LA that has nothing to do with me, which, you know, is hurts the soul, but we have to accept realities. There could be an agenda to get that football team in this game, in that $5 billion facility that man built with his own money, and really kickstarted football in Los Angeles 3.0, whatever we want to call it.
Yeah, well, you and Tim are the conspiracy theorists of the show. I don't believe in that shit whatsoever.
Because we're fans of teams.
Yeah,
so we look at things like you don't. I get it. Like, I get it's crazy, but I'm just trying to, like, as a fan of a team, put yourself in that fan headspace, and those are the silly things, right?
Like,
I'm dumb
would
enough to think
I would
the league
argue
do Jerry Jones favors. He hasn't won a playoff anything in 30 years, so obviously the conspiracies are dead wrong.
Yeah, if I was thinking from the NFL perspective, it's great. I mean, we got the maximum amount of games for Kroenke that the Rams Stadium can actually hold this year. Now that they're hosting this NFC Championship game, it's in LA, regardless of what happens, and it's going to be sold out, regardless of what happens. If it was me, I would want San Francisco in the Super Bowl, wouldn't you, Tim?
I wouldn't care on the NFC side of things. The Niners bring history, tradition, and a ton of eyeballs. The Rams bring all kinds of good things for the home Super Bowl, for LA, et cetera, et cetera. The only team that it's just basically we can't have Cincinnati in the Super Bowl.
But it won't. That won't actually matter, though.
Won't matter.
It doesn't really matter who plays in the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is going to be the most watched thing of the year. So, but I think if you were going to optimal, you have your biggest star in Patrick Mahomes versus this Niners team that isn't. I mean, the better game is Rams and Chiefs. I think, like, from a entertainment.
I think that would be the fair purpose.
Well, they played the 100-point game 2 years ago.
Yeah, if the NFL could pick, they would pick, I think, Rams and Chiefs. But 49ers Chiefs would be fine too, and no one would object to it.
No, because the 49ers have a national fan base, just like you said, the history that comes along with them, the Montana years, the young years. They're an old team, and they have fans outside of San Francisco. A lot like Green Bay has fans outside of Green Bay. Dallas has fans outside of Dallas. Pittsburgh has fans outside of Pittsburgh. Like, they're these historic franchises that have fans all over the country. So
they're what Tim sometimes claims the Jets are for some strange reason.
Actually are that. I should say, for my teaser, I am.
I'm fairly certain that the only Jets fans in the world exist on the most pathetic realm of Twitter. That's it. Like, no one else would just out themselves as a Jet fan, and these people are like sycophants. It's incredible.
If you say so. If you say there's lots of Jets fans, they fill the stadium every year. So,
Geoff, do you know what? Here's how predictable Tim has become. We were watching the Rams and Bucks game on the weekend, and this was brought up to
your virtual golf.
Yeah, our virtual, and Tim was putting power drives on the screen, like it was Lee Carvello's driving challenge. But when he was really looking forward to, I forget who it was, but he wanted Tennessee to win because he felt like they could beat the Chiefs and the Bengals couldn't. And we all said, I wonder why that is. It's so that he could claim that the Jets beat the team that won the AFC. And like 3 of us said it, and then he had to admit that he was correct in that.
Well, I mean, that is definitely something that was occurring to me. I also had an ideal dream that it could be the Titans and 49ers in the Super Bowl, so you guys could relive that Thursday night game again.
Oh, I would hammer the 49ers. I would feel so good about the 49ers in that game. Granted,
you can't be twice.
Well, I mean, I didn't realize that Jimmy G broke his hand in the game and then continued to play. That wasn't optimal.
No, but it is true. I was hoping that the Titans would win just so that the Jets would have beaten a better team. And anyway, yes.
Do you not think that the 49ers should incorporate some of those like off-power Josh Allen type runs with Trey Lance into the playbook?
I would.
You got to figure they don't trust Lance at all. Because I thought that, like, when Jimmy G looked like dead on Saturday night, I thought that we were just like, they were going to be like, fuck it, let's throw in Lance and run the ball every time. See what happens.
I was calling for it for the second half. I was calling for a QB change at halftime.
But I mean, Jimmy G keeps getting the job done for them. As much as everyone shits on him, myself included, like, he keeps winning.
Yeah, no, I don't want the QB change. Even when you made the mention that and maybe the point was fair that you thought if they made the full sale change, it would give the 49ers the better chance. I actually believe that I'd rather the 8% chance with Jimmy than like the 2% chance of a guy who's never played. That being said, I think there should be a 12 to 15 play like run package for Trey Lance with the ability that maybe the third time you run that play, you go whoop and you hit, a tight end or Juravicious.
Debo?
Geez.
Yeah, Joe Juravicious coming out of retirement, playing for the 49ers this week. Debo Samuel?
I can't
Jennings?
even say his name.
Juwan Jennings?
The fullback.
Oh, Kyle Juszczyk or Jurzurek as it's spelled.
Yeah. We'll just say the fullback, Juravicious.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
Jucevic.
Jucevic, exactly. The move would be like the Dolphins actually did this to like great effect this year when it was like 4th and 1 or 4th and inches. Tua would come out of the game for Brissett because Brissett is so good at quarterback sneaks. So eventually they did it so many times that everyone just sold out for the sneak that the 2 or 3 times that they ended up like doing the fake sneak or the play action, like guys were wide open down the field.
I believe it.
The problem is they haven't established that to that point. They haven't put enough of that tape they haven't put enough of that play on film that teams are ready for the sneak to come in. Like this is not, if Trey Lance started coming in 4th and 1 in this game, people would be like, there's something up here. There's trickery involved.
I agree.
So if you haven't been doing it, it's tough to go to it to catch anyone by surprise. It feels to me like it's something they would have had to do all year for it to be effective in the way that you would want it to be effective. But that's me. I'm not an NFL head coach, and I don't really know these things. But that's just logically how I would think through it. But maybe Lance does give you some upside if there are certain things you want in this game. Or it wouldn't be crazy to think, and now this is me thinking through it, that let's say somehow the Niners get up 20-0 in this game. That they're like, you know what? Jimmy, you're out. No turnovers for you. We're putting in Lance, and we're never throwing again.
Yeah.
Just take that off the table until the game gets close. And hopefully you can just effectively run the ball the entire time because picks are just more common than fumbles in this circumstance. I don't know. But I don't think that we see any of Lance in this spot. They clearly don't trust him. But Niners for me and you, Geoff. Kansas or Rams for Custom the Coin?
Yeah, we're teasing the Rams all the way to +3, and we are teasing the under up as well.
You don't have to play a 4-game teaser here.
Oh, I don't have to, but I'm going to.
So under to what, 52.5?
The under goes to 52.5.
All right.
Can I tell you my favorite thing on NFL coaching Twitter right now?
I mean, you're on the show. You can say whatever you want.
Okay, so we'll take that silence as a yes. There's this assumption that Brian Daboll is going to take your quarterback who can't throw the ball 14 yards downfield and make him Josh Allen. I like that a lot.
Can I bring up one subject that I want to make sure we bring up in this show?
Are you going to respond to Geoff or not?
I don't know what to respond to, then I agree with him.
Really? So you do agree that Zach Wilson is not Josh Allen?
He's not talking about Zach Wilson. Oh. I was going to ask Geoff what he has against the most innocent, most fun, most heartwarming thing that trend I have seen on Twitter in the last 10 years, which is the whole Wordle thing. Wordle is so great, not only because it's a fun game, but it's that people are participating. Nobody ruins the game for anybody else every day. It's a fun opportunity for people to just sort of like do a brain teaser and share in a positive, uplifting, fun little game each day as a community. And Geoff's got no time for it. Geoff hates it. He just shrugs his shoulders at it.
Genius game. May
I respond to this before Geoff does, Tim?
Sure.
Because I have a take on this as well. Because I have not played Wordle. I don't care about it whatsoever. But I also don't care that people share their scores and seem like they have fun with it. That's a big part of the internet. Just being mad at things that you're not involved with and like having it ruin your day. It doesn't bother me. People seem to be having fun. I just kind of ignore it. I see it out there. People seem to be happy about their scores and they're posting, and that's fine. I move on with the rest of my day. Now, Geoff.
It just seems like, well, I don't know what they mean. It seems like a nice, genius game. I just think I don't know. I think food pics are weird. I think like that, share it. Like, who cares? You're playing games. Should I post my FIFA scores?
You
Like,
could.
I'm going to
That could be your
eat some
thing.
pizza tonight, rip a couple bangers, and then go play 3 rounds of FIFA. I'll tell you, I'm really struggling. This new FIFA, my tactics, they're not working. I don't have the advanced fat thumbs that might be required at this stage of life. So I'm struggling. It'd be a lot of embarrassing L's. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't realize everyone is playing the exact same game.
Yes, that's why.
So
it's
I'll
so
give them credit
wins it.
for that. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that's a weird thing, but I'm weird too. So let people be weird. It can bother me. I don't care.
Fun, uplifting. It makes Twitter a less caustic place, and you'll just.
I'll give you that. That I am supporting of, and I will not debate any part of that, because as I mentioned to Pat in like some off-air things, I don't know if it's who I follow, but the voices I'm seeing on Twitter are just very. I don't know what the right word is for it, but negative would be too simplistic of one. But yeah, so I guess that's the best case you made.
Well, that didn't go how you wanted it, did it, Tim?
No, I mean, look, I thought it more or less went down the line of Geoff having to admit that he's bad at FIFA. So that came out of it, and that was nice.
Yeah, no, I'm not good. I've lost my thing, and I'm sure if I started playing Wordle, I would be like Tim. I'd do a full Tim. We call that a Tim. You know what that means? It's you bash something that you don't understand, and then you do it, and then you're an expert and love it. 8 minutes later. It's called a full Tim. It's called a full Tim.
A full cast. You never go full cast.
That's fine. That's fine. Go ahead. As always, turn this thing about you into a thing about me.
No, I admit I'm wrong. I admit I'm not in the right on this issue.
And Tim, do you see how that works? Geoff admits that he was in the wrong about this, then no one cares anymore. Unlike you, who has to quadruple down when you're wrong every single time and not admit anything, like when you murder people.
I don't
like
do that.
Meatloaf.
But by the way, we should say
me.
as a show, R.I.P. to Louis Anderson, who occupies a spot on this show. He was a great guest to interview, and we will miss him.
Well, we can run a clip of that right now and see who he's talking to. And spoiler, it's not Pat Mayo.
This is Tim Anderson for DraftKings Live here, talking with Louis Anderson.
Louis, Tim, my cousin.
Exactly.
Rita's son. How are you, Tim?
I'm doing well.
DraftKings. I play DraftKings.
And the other person who passed away, of course, is Over Your Right Shoulder. You've had Meatloaf's album up there for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, I have had Meatloaf's, and everything was fine with Meatloaf. Well, he has been a part of the set until what happened the night before he died, Tim. What were you doing?
I was on YouTube listening to music, as I do, and my favorite lists scrolled through a couple of Meatloaf songs.
Which ones?
So I listened to them. Paradise by the Dashboard Light, which is a great song, and 2 out of 3 Ain't Bad, which is my favorite song of his.
Well, 2 out of 3 was bad. Here. So maybe if you had listened to 3 Meatloaf songs, it wouldn't have affected him. But you see what's happening, right? We already have 2.
No.
We already have 2 deaths on you for next year's Custies.
Look, Mr. Anderson had been ill for a while. And, I mean, again,
Well,
R.I.P. He was a very funny and friendly and fellow. When we interviewed him, he picked both the Eagles and then the Patriots to win the Super Bowl. He blew up my entire interview with a joke 30 seconds in. It was great. I really enjoyed meeting him.
Well, maybe if you'd said you didn't enjoy it, he could have been resurrected. Who knows?
You were too busy spending 12 hours a day live on air like Krusty in the Alkali Flats while I was doing that.
I could have got what is it, the battery and the scorpion.
Yeah, that's essentially what you were doing when I was assigned to go interview Louis Anderson.
There was a point, and we were on Super Bowl Radio Row, Geoff, where it was literally just me. They were bringing guests in and out. They wouldn't turn off the camera. I had to go to the bathroom, so I brought Adam Kaufman in with he was eating his sub, and then he showed us like the insane way that he eats his sub. Even Cust was mortified by that.
He eats it one piece at a time. He eats all the lettuce, and then all the olives, and then all the tomatoes, and then all the meat, and then all the bread. And that's That's
When
something
you
else.
can make Cust, when you can trip Cust out with something, you've gone above and beyond. That sounds insane, though.
That's where
It does.
That's where we were at during the day, though. For like legit, it wasn't 12 hours. I think it was 7 straight hours of trying to fill of like live. And it's not like I would do an interview and then there would be like 10 minutes off. We'd come back with an interview 10 minutes later with people cycling through. It'd be like, no, we got an interview for 15 minutes, and Pat, you fill for 30 minutes. Then we might have someone come through in half an hour's time. It's like, what am I going to talk about?
It was
It's
great.
like,
And
I've
if
just been
this was
talking for
today-
5 days straight.
And if this was in 2022, you'd just put a GoPro on Tim and watch him do the food court at the Mall of America, and that would officially be content.
Yeah, see,
Which is what I was doing. I wasn't going to the green room, which I had full access to, which was also great.
Cust loved the green room at the Super Bowl. Like the
Well,
media,
it took me
the
about a
media
day or two
center.
to figure out. Yeah, but it took me a day or two to figure out when all the best stuff came out, and then I had like knew the clock. I'm like, okay, you need to get there at 11:55 because that's when the best lunch gets.
Tim would be a perfect reporter. I saw a lot of hoity-toity NFL blue check marks bitching about the press box food in Cincinnati on I guess that would have been Saturday. Like Tim would have, yeah. By now, if Tim was like media for all these years, he would pretty much just be doing rankings of stadium press box food, I think.
I got
Well, the stuff in Minneapolis, St. Paul was great. The food in St. Paul when we did opening night for the Super Bowl, that was great too. They had these chicken tenders. I've never had better chicken tenders in my life, and you could have as much sauce as you want.
From where?
I don't know.
buffet. They were just
Oh,
right.
it's
They were just
buffet
right.
fingers.
They were just buffet. It was a buffet. Like, I mean, it's buffet style. You know, Tim loves that. And they just had trays of chicken fingers around. Tim was like, "Oh my god."
It was amazing. I loved it.
I got blocked by a guy on Twitter this week. One of these blue checkmark losers, Geoff, that you always enjoy talking about. And
I think I know who it is.
It reminded-
You went chirping at the hockey guys who are bitching about odds, right?
yeah, and like it just like this is the most. If Tim, it's not a. I mean, Tim's on a gambling show. This is a gambling show, sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook, by the way, where we talk about lines and other things too. But you know, if Tim was just a reporter and he had been, I think this guy's like the Sabres beat reporter, and he's been the reporter for like 31 years or something like that. It would be the take I would expect Tim to have if he wasn't a part of this show. But like, where's this guy think his money's coming from?
Tim, I mean, Pat, as someone living where I live my whole life, I've known, yeah, that guy has been the Sabres local radio, intermission, pregame, postgame beat reporter for my entire life. He is from, yeah, he's clearly from a time, like, you know exactly when he is from, and he doesn't understand what's happening one bit, and it's bothering him.
Yeah, like
I will say though, like when you're watching the World Series and instead of like the batter's slash line, they're showing like his odds to hit a home run. There is something a little weird about
but
that.
that
That's
doesn't
obnoxious,
that doesn't
I think.
actually happen though, because they show both.
Well, it did happen.
But
No,
they
it did
show
happen.
but they show both. It's not like they're not showing his slash line. They just happen to be showing the odds too.
Well, I mean, I do remember at one point someone got up to bat in that little box. They were just showing his odds. They had a home run or a triple or a single, and like at least for a pitch or two, that's what they were showing before they went.
You're
to it.
probably talking about the All-Star game and not the home
Oh, I think
run.
this was the World Series or it was the NLCS, one of the two. I just remember seeing it and thinking, you know, I got obviously I like gambling and talk about gambling on a podcast, but like this is strange. This seems like a little overboard. This seems like it would be off-putting to people who you're trying to bring in.
Well,
I get snobby
who
about.
are you trying? Well, hold on. Who are you trying to bring in? The whole point is to turn the person who's not a gambler into someone who will deposit on a gambling site. That's the whole point of this.
Right, but you don't want to annoy those people by going, oh, like, I don't know.
What are they
It
going to
seems
do,
like-
Tim? What are they going to do? Are they going to tune out? No, they're not.
No, like, listen, obviously that guy who's making the Sabres points. I saw you because you quote tweeted it and put my name in it, so I did see it. It was a terrible take, but there is something to be said about there is always the risk of overkill.
Oh,
Right, there is-
listen, we went through this with the DraftKings and that other company, which I don't even know if they exist anymore. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But they ran all the Daily Fantasy commercials in like 2016, and what did it do? It led to them being banned in New York for a while. Like,
Yes.
people got so fucking sick of it. And it's kind of happening again because there are more players in the game now, and they're all trying to acquire these customers. And New York just opened up, so they've been saving all this marketing budget for New York because there's so many players that, I mean, of course, the people. they're not trying to get the people that already play. They're trying to get the people that don't already play. But this person pretending like people haven't been talking about odds on broadcast for the past 3 years just because it just opened in New York State to make this legal. So on Sabres local broadcast, they can now talk about it is kind of insane. What's this guy live in a fucking bubble?
Oh yeah, no, there's no time for that.
And
He doesn't realize. I mean, this gambling money is the last vestige of ad money that can keep his job. Unless he wants to go work for, the team and report for BuffaloSabres.com. But yeah, I would say my only complaint in all of this, and I guess this probably just comes from a guy that does gambling and is maybe a bit of like a snob about it or unintentionally a snob about it. And maybe a lot of people don't even see it who don't do gambling, but some of these broadcasters, they still have no idea what they're saying. And in some respects, you feel bad for them because they're not familiar with it. And either they don't know what they're saying or the chyron is like wrong a lot. And I'm not saying that
fantasy too. I remember distinctly like 2009, 2010, there was like a fumble recovery touchdown by an offensive lineman. And and Phil Simms like, well, that'll help your fantasy team. It's like, no, man, that's not how this works.
No, but in the chyron, we've seen mistakes with graphics on the TV. It happens from time to time. And there are probably mistakes that could happen, like say watching the news that I don't notice because that blurb doesn't relate to me the same way you showing an odd incorrectly like would hit my eye. But
the fact that your team is going to the NFC Championship game this week, Geoff, isn't that what I saw? Chargers 49ers in that in that box update that you sent out?
Yeah, one of my there was an app that tricked me, and I even got a notification that like imagine my cell phone notifying me that the Chargers had made it to the NFC Championship game. I was excited for like 2 seconds.
So I think that you hit on it properly because all these old journalists who don't know anything about gambling obviously don't want to talk about gambling because they don't understand it. And Geoff is completely right because we saw when they launched the like exclusive betting golf feed, I think it was last year's Waste Management, that the 3 people that they picked to do it had clearly never made a bet on anything in their life. So you've designed this broadcast that's gambling specific and then put 3 people who don't gamble on it. They're not going to be talking about it in the correct way. But I feel like if you put in, and listen, I'm not advocating for like us to be doing this, but I think that there are people who speak about gambling, like Pizzola would be a really good one, for example, with something like that. Someone who really understands football, really understands analytics, and really understands betting and what the lines are actually trying to tell you. I think that, there's room for the us's of the world to go in there and make it fun because we do know what the lines are telling us. We might not be like the sharpest people in the world, but at least we understand what we're looking at when we're talking about it. That if you just hired those types of people to talk about gambling on these bigger broadcasts, I feel like it would actually elevate the discussion than most people are having, especially on like a Sabres local broadcast during the intermission where it's, oh, the guys got to be tougher out there. They got to play a little bit harder. Like your generic like hockey shit that comes out of people's mouths. Imagine putting smart people on these broadcasts where they could both use the betting lines to inform you of what has happened in the game and what is likely to happen based on what the lines currently are and whether those are right or whether those are wrong. Those are better discussion, more informed discussions than anyone is having on any of these broadcasts because they're not hiring the right people. Because like you said, they're just sticking your people who've been there for 30 years and be like, hey, talk about over-unders. I don't care if you know what they mean or not. Like, not only is you're putting those people in a shitty position, you're making the product shittier at the same time when you could be hiring these other people for probably cheaper or the same or for fewer hours to come in, but actually elevate your discussion. If you elevated the discussion through gambling to the people that don't gamble, maybe you don't have new gambling customers. Maybe those people don't go deposit at DraftKings right now, but I think they would be appreciative that you're hearing people intelligently talk about the sport that you're watching in just a much better way than you've ever seen on TV before.
Yeah, that would make total sense. In the same way they have an ex-head of officiating on a primetime booth. If they sort of spoke to went to like a wise guy to maybe explain a situation as it relates to a live line. That could be interesting. Watching the golf this weekend, you mentioned the golf on the startup, but even when, Golf Channel or Golf Central it would feel like they were paying to have to reference these points bet lines, not because they didn't care, but because they didn't really understand it or be able to verbalize it properly. But at the same time, it's really cool on Sunday when they can show this Lee Hodges was like 250 to 1, 500 to 1 on Wednesday night. Now he's minus 110 on Sunday, making a turn on the back nine. That's simple, but important, I think.
I agree. I think the betting odds, because when you start talking about things like EPA per play in football, and you really get or Corsi in hockey, or I think enough people have a grasp of what WAR means in baseball, but WAR isn't really a predictive metric. It's more of a storytelling metric of what has actually happened, who is the better player. Like if you start talking about XFIP instead of ERA with a pitcher, you're going to lose everyone. Those things are complicated. They're difficult to explain. They're not the most complicated things in the world, if you can know what they mean.
No nasty factor.
What's that? Sorry?
No nasty factor.
No, it is no nasty factor. You are correct when it comes to that. But when you can use odds to dictate even probability, and then you can talk around that probability, it makes you seem like a more reasonable person. Like you mentioned with the golf example, like, hey, right now, if you were to bet on Lee Hodges, you would have to bet $100 to win $100. Let's say he was just even money, because he was around that at times going on the back nine on Sunday before Swafford made his move. But had you have made that same $100 wager on Wednesday, you would have won $250, or it would have been $25,000 on your $100 bet if you had bet on Lee Hodges and he had won. That is what we're seeing. Like, that's how big of an underdog that this guy is. Like, that's a real storytelling metric that you can articulate very easy to the viewers, I think at least, to give them some context of how big this would be. Even if we were talking about it on the football broadcast on Sunday evening when the Chiefs were down, like when they got the ball with 13 seconds back, like what's the live money line for the Chiefs right now? I think it was like 16 to 1. And you could talk about that in essential probabilities of how unlikely this is to make the moment seem even bigger. Maybe that's not necessary in football during a live broadcast, because I feel like people have a very poor sense of probability just to begin with when it comes to anything. But at least in football, you don't need to explain to people that driving down the field in 13 seconds to kick a field goal to tie the game to go to overtime is something that probably shouldn't happen and is very unlikely.
No, if a baseball player is in a count who's down 0-3 in the count, or sorry, is 3-0 in the count, that you can show that, okay, the odds of this person getting on base is 91%.
But they show what their average is in 3-0 counts from 0-2 counts or 1-2 counts, or they show it's 2-0 compared to 1-1, how different your average is in those situations.
Sure, but I think it would be interesting to show the live betting market for that. Like the count is 0-0, and you have your normal slash line that people like to see, and then in the corner it's like percentage, like odds to get on base, like minus 120. But now the count is 3-0, and the live line switches to like minus 200 or something like that.
Exactly, like that would actually be interesting.
I think that's a really good way to incorporate gambling lines. Like the UFC does a pretty good job of this in between rounds.
Yeah, they do a great job. Fighting has always been like very good at it. And the people who are part of the broadcasts have been hyper aware of it. And I'll be honest, Pat, if they demanded that Al Michaels do a little more on the gambling situation, he could do it. Musburger could have done it. Like they all could have done it in the same way the boxing guys do it.
No, Joe Buck could not do it.
Okay, sorry. There are guys out there that could have done it in the same way that information was delivered in a boxing match or a fighting match, because betting and pre-match betting is so much more, at least like mainstream, discussed outside of the last 3 years. Boxing, it's always been about betting lines. Football, that wasn't, it's becoming a thing. I also think,
man, they have Rex.
A lot of us
I watch, like, I don't normally watch any TV when it comes to broadcast studio shows, but I'll watch NFL Countdown with Cust before we like load up the games. That's just what's on. It's on ESPN because that's the channel that we have that's going to play like probably the 4K game that we want to see. But they have like Rex Ryan filling out a DraftKings lineup. Like, just bring in Levitan, bring in Smiz, bring in someone like you have associated.
Even
with
bring in Soppy,
or bring in me.
Yeah, they're there. Yeah, of course.
And like to have someone listen, Rex Ryan knows infinitely more about football than I do. I would bet, although I'm not the world's best DraftKings player, I know a bit more about filling out a DraftKings lineup than he does. And that way you don't
He knows more about calling plays.
He knows more about foot jobs too, but that's him.
Oh dear.
Maybe Tim knows
That made
more.
you
Who knows?
uncomfortable?
Yeah, I would say it did.
Okay, well, Tim's off put by his former coach. But either way, like, you're putting that sort of talent, like, they're there for a specific reason, to give you the inside knowledge that other people aren't going to have. This is not a part of their knowledge sphere. They're very uncomfortable with this, and it shows through the camera. Like, you're putting your talent in a bad position, and then the advertisers, in turn, aren't getting the maximization of the dollars that they're spending to advertise, because it doesn't work in simpatico like that. It just
I don't
brings
know.
down both sides.
Nothing works in simpatico.
love-
You know, we made a comment, or we've talked about it a lot this week. The golf starts on Wednesday. That's irrelevant to this show, Pat. But you knowing the industry, and you've never been on an NFL Today meeting to plan an AFC title game. But just take a guess on how how slow things move. When do you think, like, how many years has Jim Nantz probably been bugging people that they should do this Wednesday to Saturday thing? Like, it probably took
every
3
year.
years to put this in action.
100%. He knows. He gets
Simple
it.
suggestion makes so much sense. For it to get to the point of execution is probably 3 years down the road from when it was first suggested to them.
Wouldn't you love to hear Paul Azinger spouting out gambling odds about a particular tournament in the thick of it? Like, he doesn't know what he's talking about when it doesn't come to gambling odds. Imagine adding that new wrinkle into things. Oh, Corey Connors is like minus 340 to make this 16-foot putt.
Great putter, Corey Connors.
Elite,
what I was told.
elite putter, Corey Connors.
Elite putter. This is 4-footer on the first hole of Sunday.
But I also at the same time don't want to see both fantasy and gambling be integrated too much into into the overall broadcast, because I do think that there are like tippy toes that you need to make, and I think there's ways that it can be incorporated. What they should just do is have an alternate feed. That's the all gambling feed or the all fantasy feed, and then the people who care about that stuff will seek that out. They really will, and then you can just touch on it a little bit during the main broadcast. Advise people if they want to hear more about that stuff, they can move over to this channel that you own that people have to subscribe and pay for. You can turn that into an ad revenue. Plus, your DraftKings are still going to get their shout out on the show, and people can go like research that themselves if they want to. You don't need to make it's not like, oh, Jawan Jennings just got a touchdown from Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel on the 34-yarder ended up scoring 6.7 DraftKings points on that play. Like, that doesn't need to be a part of the broadcast at all. But I think there are ways to have a happy middle where it doesn't seem so forced, and then you still have the announcers and commentators comfortable with what they're talking about.
I totally agree, but I also wonder, Pat, how many, like, the people that do gamble, that we're familiar gambling, that we've never had issues getting accounts or, getting our bets in. We are like the base. We are the base. They don't care about us. They're not talking to us. They're not trying to impress us. They're literally just trying to get that guy in Chicago who's never made a sports bet before. Now, every single time the Bears play, make his recreational $33 Bears
Now
bet.
you know how I feel when I talk about Diet Coke trying to change things.
I completely understand where they're coming from this. Like, they're not going to lose me as a customer. I completely acknowledge that.
Yeah.
They don't
But they
necessarily.
could lose me as a customer. Diet Coke could lose me as a customer.
No, they couldn't. It would be impossible for McDonald's or Diet Coke to lose
McDonald's
you as a
could
customer.
lose me
That's
as a
the whole
customer.
point. But the difference between the two is you can only spend so much money on Diet Coke and McDonald's. There is no end to how much I can spend at a sports book.
That's true.
So
Very true.
So that there's that upside of it to cater. I mean, that's why casinos have VIP people that they fly. I have a cousin who lives in Corner Brook, Newfoundland. It's like the middle of fucking nowhere. He owns a construction company up there. He is a very rich man, and he loves to gamble. Do you know what the casino does, Geoff? They get a plane, they fly him in private, give him a room and a private table so he can fly in twice a year, go to the casino, and spend all of his money.
All of his money in perpetuity. Absolutely. Absolutely.
They gave
No doubt.
Cust
And on the other side of that,
5,000
Pat-
McDonald's points on his app.
Yeah. And on the other side of that, like the nut low end of it, as we sit here in Canada and you see these commercials on cable, it's like we are seeing all over. I love seeing your face on the DraftKings ads.
I
There's
got.
this, like,
Did you see it this weekend? By the way, I got so many.
Yeah,
messages.
it played like in the whole loop before they went to the NFL today.
So it was the first time that ad was being. I know people have seen that DraftKings infomercial with me and Kalish and Reed that I filmed like 4 fucking years ago. My son was just born when I went and filmed that. I left a month later to go film it. It's the first time that's been broadcast in New York and Canada, though, I think.
I mean, I've seen the clip so many times because people will tweet them to us, but you're probably right. I don't think I've ever seen that on TV before. And I remember when you flew out west to get that done. But then you see like here in Canada, and it's this like rat race of sports books, and you know, they all have random weird names and they're trying to start. And there's this one, I don't even need to name the book, but they use Bernie Nichols and Damon Allen to advert. And I'm like, they literally don't even need why are they paying anybody? Damon Allen's a CFL quarterback. He won a bunch of Grey Cups.
20 years ago.
Played on a line with Gretzky, had a lot of points one year in the NHL. It's the weirdest thing. Like, how could anybody resonate to wanting to gamble because of that? But at the same time, this book is just like, it's set up so this guy who's never made a bet before on his Winnipeg Jets can now make his $10 Winnipeg Jets bets in perpetuity forever. Not big stakes. They're not after any sharps or you know, line moving type guys. They just want your hoser $10 every time you're going to your buddy's house to watch the Jets game. That's all they're after. And hey, I guess that's their game plan right now.
Well, that's their game plan, is to get you on the site, Tim. Do you know what their game plan is after you make your deposit at the site?
To have you make more deposits?
To have you switch over and start playing some online slots, pal. That's where the money is. iGaming will make so once they can convincing people to bet on a sports book is big enough. Like, that's worth a lot of money to each place. That's why they're paying out all of this advertising dollar, because one customer is worth so much money to all of these places as a sports bettor. Once you go a bit differently and you have iGaming on the table, like, the end is limitless of how much these companies can make.
Well, that's very dangerous. And I hope that they are, I don't know. I worry about some of that because there's that article last week. Guy lost like 25 straight hands playing online gambling, blackjack. And he wasn't playing high stakes, but he was just testing it. It's like, you can, I don't know. If I'm going to play cards, I'm going to have to stare at you in the face, flipping them over. I think I will never trust. I am like Tim with my credit card, not letting my teenager buy concert tickets on the internet in the year 2030. I never want to play online slots or blackjack.
I don't either. We have a friend who won't sign up for any sports betting app because he knows that there's casinos on it, and he knows that he's going to lose.
I think you can block the casinos.
I told him you could bet. He's basically like Tim when it comes to technology, that he won't figure out.
Online baccarat is right there to play.
Hey, listen, you can lose 25 hands of blackjack in a row. I went to the casino and lost 21 hands of baccarat in a row, so it happens.
Those hands go quick.
I know, but you gotta feel well. I don't know. I watched your show last week with Pizzola and Cam, and obviously Cam with his sound advice. Just don't bet with money that you don't have. Just never bet on credit. Don't get involved with credit. I don't mean to, there's no secret. Cam is quite open about a lot of things, but I worked with Cam. There are a lot of days where the mood was just so bad because Cam had to go meet his bookie. Like, you know, because of credit. You know, the vibe of the show, of the day, not fun. It was almost like a scared straight for me, even though I don't think I learned enough.
All right. Well, I think that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. I enjoyed that discussion towards the end. I like that. That's good stuff. At least I thought it was. I had fun talking about it. Next week, maybe we'll talk about coaching vacancies, awards. We have enough football to fill, I think.
Oh, sure.
All right. Well, I want to thank Tim Andercust.
That is not my name. Oh, Geoff.
For being on the line. I'll get you your $200, pal. Unless you want to go double or nothing.
Not on these games, but we may in the Super Bowl.
All right. And I you know what? I'll pay you $400, and if I win, I guess you would be back at zero. We need to find a way where you lose a bet, But on Twitter, you have to change your name to Tim Andercust, he/Cust.
Well, I hope that never comes to pass.
.eth. And then you need to tweet about how great NFT communities are for an entire week. That's going to be your loss instead of a monetary gain for me.
What a fantastic week that would be.
People will love you on Twitter. You'll have all the friends in the world.
Oh, I bet.
Jeffrey, what else you got going on this week?
Oh, short week. Golf starts on Wednesday. So
It does.
that's so weird. Even saying it, like it just reminded, like tomorrow morning. We discussed this at the start of our golf show, Pat. Like 3 days is too long. 2 days is messed, or I'm just not used to it. It's really messing with me. But yeah, not a lot. My week, Torrey Pines week, championship football. All my works will be out by 7. Or sorry, yeah, I guess by the end of today. Yeah, weird.
Yeah, I'll have the best bet show with Cam and Pizzola on Thursday morning. I think we're going to do Olympics next week during the bye week because the Olympics start on the 4th, I think. So we'll do our best bets for those. Hey, Tim, if you want to take the day off work, you can come join that show too if you want to. And then I think I'm going to do an NHL show next week because apparently there's a break. Not that I know anything, but I got some good guests. I have too many people that are really good at talking about the NHL that it would feel like a disservice to the audience not to use them. So I might try to do that. I don't know. We'll figure it out, I guess. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Smash the like, sub to the channel, do all that fun stuff like rate and review everything. That'll do it for me. I'll see you next time.
That Mayo experience! Experience!